Hello, my name is Helen and a very warm welcome to my channel. Have you ever been in a supermarket when the bread has just come out of the oven? That tantalising aroma wafting through of freshly baked bread. You can experience all of that in your own home. Join me as I show you how to make a fabulous loaf with only 4 ingredients and how and why they all come together to make bread. In this basic white bread, there are 4 ingredients: water, flour, yeast and salt. There are all different types of flour depending on what you wish to bake. Each one contains a varying level of protein. The higher the protein content, the greater the rise and the strength of the mixture. Here are some examples. Plain flour on the back of this packet is 9.7% protein, which is mainly used for bakes such as pastry. Self-raising flour contains 9.5% protein, but it also contains a raising or leavening ingredient for making fine, light, fluffy mixture, and this is ideal for cakes. Strong flour or bread flour contains about 12.5% or more. This one is 14%. This flour will give lots of rise and a good strong structure to the mix. I like to sieve the flour before I use it. This is strong bread flour that I bought from a supermarket. It's absolutely fine and it will give you a great result. Just a top tip here, just make sure that the yeast is in date. If it's not, then it will not give you a good result. Mix it in. Teaspoon of salt. For this recipe I use 350 ml of cold tap water. You might need a little bit extra depending on your mix. You can use warm water, which will speed up the rising process. Cold water and a longer rise for this bread, I think, develops more flavour. I'm going to put all the water in together. I'm going to be using a wooden spoon at the start of the dough. I'll be using my hands because you can really feel the consistency of the dough. I can see that although the dough is coming together, it could do with just a little bit more water. Do it bit by bit so that you don't add too much. If you do, it's fine. You can always add a bit more flour, but just go slow with the addition of the extra water. So I'm just feeling it now, just to see how sticky it is. It's all come together. There's only a little bit of flour left on the bowl, but that's absolutely fine. I would be really delighted if you would please subscribe, like, share and ring the bell for notification of my next video. Thank you so much. I'm going to tip it onto an oiled surface, and that will help my hands not stick to the dough so much. So if we look at the dough, it's breaking easily, there's no strength in it, and it's not doing very much at all. What we need to do to change that is that we need to knead it. The dough needs to be brought together, and this is done by kneading for about 10 minutes. What is kneading and why are we doing this? What is happening to the dough during that 10 minutes? And kneading is moving the dough so you stretch it out and pull it back. Stretch it out and pull it back, and then actually turn it. And keep doing this.
Kneading is an ideal combination for bread. The gluten is developing as a binding agent, giving shape. The yeast is becoming active, releasing carbon dioxide, all working to trap the gas bubbles. All of these give the loaf its structure, springiness, flavour and smell.
It's starting to develop its gluten.
Kneading actually releases and aligns the gluten, allowing dough to form irregular pockets of carbon dioxide and in turn raise the dough,
makes it smooth, supple, and gives it strength. Look at the dough again, it's changed, getting smoother and stronger. If you hold it up to the light, you can see a membrane. It's almost a window pane. Some people, they really get into it by picking it up and slapping it down on the counter. There are lots of different ways that you can do this, and I think it's something that is quite personal preference, really. Sometimes people say, oh, they love making bread because it actually gives them a good workout. You can see that the dough has changed dramatically since we pulled it together. It's become very smooth on its surface and it does not have any breaks in it. So this is going to prove or rise for about an hour and a half to 2 hours until it's doubled in size. And I've greased the bowl with a little bit of olive oil, any oil is fine, and I'm also going to put a bit of plastic on the top that's also been greased so it doesn't actually stick to it, but you can use a tea towel if you like. Now I just leave it in my kitchen to rise. It doesn't have to have any extra heat, and the longer it takes to rise, then the more flavour it's actually developing. The dough is now at the fermentation stage. The yeast is eating the natural sugars found in the flour, making carbon dioxide, which raises the dough and develops character and flavour. Here's my dough. It looks really good. The rise on it is amazing today. I think it's probably because it's been quite warm weather outside. So here's the close-up, and you can see all the bubbles at the bottom of the bowl there and up at the sides. So the dough has become very soft. It's very silky and pliable. The dough needs to have a bit more structure to it, so we're now going to do what's called knocking back. That means reducing the air by kneading and stretching and folding again. Some people like to punch the air out and then knead it quite heavily, but I like to be a little bit more gentle with it, and I like to see character in the loaf rather than with lots and lots of kneading, little tiny bubbles in it, and I like to have an artisan bread. And just pushing the air out really gently, bringing in the sides and then folding it over, using my fingers and then turning it. You can see what a lovely mixture this is now and how easily and smoothly it works. What I like to do is to have the final seam tucked in across the bottom, because if you don't have that across the bottom and it's to the side, when we prove this again and it rises, it can sometimes rip, especially in the oven. So I always try and make sure that that's immediately at the bottom of the loaf. So we now need to just turn that over and then just tuck under the sides a little bit. How lovely that looks. No tin required, I'm just going to put it onto a baking sheet. The dough is lovely and soft, so paste it on this baking tray with parchment so it doesn't stick. Now you can cover this with a tea towel, and it needs to rise again for half an hour to an hour. Dust the top of the loaf with a little flour and score with a sharp knife. Scoring helps any gas escape without splitting and tearing the loaf while baking. The dough goes into a preheated oven, 220°C, fan 200, gas 7. Bake the bread for 15 minutes, then reduce the heat to 190°C, fan 170, gas 5, and continue to bake for about 30 minutes. Oven temperatures do vary, so make sure that you look at the loaf from time to time and adjust the temperature accordingly. Well, look at that. It's a monster. Oh, the smell is just amazing. Oh, can't wait to have a taste. with really crunchy, lovely crust and a really light, delicate flavour. It's really good. I hope I've inspired you to try this great classic recipe to make this amazing bread. Join me again to see what I'm making next time. Bye!